Hi, this is Justice. In this video, we're going to be talking about pigments. And I am so excited about this because this finally bridges the gap between traditional artists that use pigments and digital artists that use RGB. Now, RGB, when you blend these different lights, you get a different outcome than when you're blending pigments in the real world. So what that means is if I, as a digital artist, am talking to a friend, and we'll do an interview with Wayne Forte later on in this video. But if I'm talking to a traditional artist who's been using oils for a long time, they'll refer to not a 6-digit hex number, but they'll be referring to pigments like gold ochre or cadmium red deep, or you'll see over here in the color sets, there is now a list: burnt sienna, burnt umber, phthalo green. All of these are based on and accurately represent almost perfectly the actual real world pigments. And so what you see, let's go ahead and pick a phthalo blue and let's use oils. So here you're going to see it's very dark. This is what's called a mass tone. So the color is very thick and we're getting almost a black. Now you can see here, I have this option turned on, gradient preview. So as we transition from this very dark to light color, you're going to notice that there's a lot that's missing. It travels through gray. When you combine lights, they blend into gray very easily. When you combine pigments, they blend into different colors easily. So here I have pigments turned on, and we are going to drag out from this phthalo blue, and you're going to see that we get this beautiful transition through these saturated colors into these more translucent colors as the paint gets thinner. So here, if I turn this off, you're going to see this is gray. You can see that reflected up here in the gradient preview. Okay, so let's grab another color. Let's grab this red. Let's do the same thing. We're going to pull down the red. And notice when we turn pigments on, you can see that the colors retain their warmth. Let's do cadmium yellow medium. Let's put this here and let's drag it down. When we combine these, if we're using pigments, we're going to get a very expected result. Yellow and blue equals green, and we see that done beautifully here. If we turn this off and repeat that, you're going to see we're going to get more of a gray color. To understand this a little better, we're going to talk more about color theory, and Wayne Forte is going to explain some of this using traditional oils, and then I'm going to, at the end of that video, I'm going to show you some of the same transitions that he did with oil. We're going to try and test them here, and we're going to see if they come out the same way. All right, let's go ahead and watch Wayne. This is Wayne Forte. Wayne is an artist, and an artist who has done a lot of beautiful work. I'm here in his studio, and Wayne's going to talk to us about color and pigments and mixing color and pigments as a traditional artist.
This is a color wheel. These are called primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. I chose this blue. It's a phthalo blue because it's a true blue. It doesn't veer towards the warm, like an ultramarine blue, has a little bit of red in it, or like a turquoise would have a little bit of yellow in it. So this is, phthalo is a true blue. There's a permanent red. It's a red that doesn't veer towards the orange or the violet. And this is a true yellow. It's a Hansa yellow light. With these three colors, you can mix all the other colors. And so for instance, if you want a green, then you just would take some yellow here. And mix in some blue. And that's going to turn into a green, like that. If you want, let's say an orange, then you just take some red and mix in some, I'm going to need more yellow here, but mix in some yellow. And then you're going to get an orange. Now, if you want a purple, then you would take the blue and the red and mix those. So this has a little bit of green in there, but this isn't scientific. But anyway, then you're going to get, this, see, just because okay, let me get a new brush and do that again. Since it had some yellow in it, it kind of muddied it up. But to get this purple, let's do it right in here. Get a red, and then add just a little bit of blue, not much. And then you're going to get a purple. That. So these are called the secondary colors: purple, green, and orange. And then if you want, let's say you want an orange that's much more towards the yellow, then you could just take either one, but just a small amount of red, and then you get an orange that is almost just like a really warm yellow. Because red is, another thing is as dark as cool and warm colors. So red is really warm, yellow is warm, and blue is really cool. So on your secondary colors, you can mix, you can get secondary colors, and then you get, for instance, here, a green, but it's much more towards, it's darker, much more towards the blue. It's got like a Kelly green in there. Or you could just have a tiny bit of green in there, and then you get a green that's much like a yellow green. Right? Yeah, so that's how you mix colors. Artists mix colors. These are oil paints, by the way.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. But it works
Great.
Same with acrylics, any kind of paint.
Can you show some mixing with white? Some of the primary colors mixing with white.
Okay. Any of these colors can be tinted. These are pure color, but if you want to tint them, in other words, add white, then you're going to get a more pastel shade. So we have this like yellow orange here, which was arrived at by mixing orange and yellow. Now we can tint it by just adding white. And you're getting almost what we call a Naples yellow. A nice creamy vanilla-ish color there.
Yeah, it looks like our lemons.
Yeah. And so, but let's say here, this is almost pure red here. You tint it, we should get a pink. We should get a pure pink. Yeah, there we go. We can go really pink. Light pink like that. Okay, so we're tinting some of these primary colors that are, say, fully saturated. I mean, in other words, they don't have any white or black added to them. They're pure, fully saturated colors. But when you're going to paint a painting, you don't want to use all fully saturated colors because it's like having an orchestra with all horns, you know. So let's say we take quite a dark green like this, and we tint it with white. Then we get there. You get a much more pastel green. These are what we call the pastel colors. They have a lot of white in them. And you can even do that, well, let's say this has some green in it, but so here's a really high key yellow green like that. But then you can get some white and tint that down. You can tint it down a long way if you want, which I kind of like to do with there. You can keep tinting it down until it becomes, you know, super subtle like that, where it hardly even differentiates itself from the canvas. But it's a nice color to use in certain locations or for warm highlights, stuff like that. So going back, you see this, wow, okay, that's a purple, kind of a muddy purple, but it looks almost like a black. But if you tint it, take the white and just get a little bit of that, then you see the true nature of the color comes out. The personality of that color will come out. So this is what we'd call more like a lavender, which is like a pastel, has got a lot of white in it. When I saw some of your videos, I thought, boy, the digital people, the way they mix color, it's so different. Or the way they arrive at color is so different than the way an artist working with paints does it. So
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really like about this new software is that we can actually play around with it, the exact same process,
yeah,
mixing those whites in to get those lighter colors and pastels, and yeah, it's really.
Now there's another trick. If you want a really neutral, like a really dark gray, or just say a gray, okay? Because sometimes you just need a gray that's neutral. Then if you take opposites, like yellow, and mix it with a purple. So here, this beautiful clear yellow, but if you take a little bit of this purple, then look, it comes out a gray, a really nice gray. See? Mm-hmm. And the same thing happens, let's say you take a red and mix it with a green, opposite. Anytime you mix two colors that are opposite here, then you're going to get a gray. So this is already red here. Just take that pink, mix it with a green, and it's going to turn into a gray. Now, if I put more, it's a gray, but it's a greenish gray. But if I put more of this red in it, then it's going to turn into a gray.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, because the green and the red are fighting each other and coming, and it's a tie. So they come into a gray. You could even put more red if you want, and get a reddish gray. But let's even do that right here. There, now you have a gray, but it's kind of a little bit of a reddish gray. And someone would see that, they wouldn't maybe know that there was green in there, but there's a lot of green in there. It's just there's a little bit more red. And here, they'd say, oh, that's a greenish gray, but there's a lot of red in there. It's just a tiny bit more green. Just put a little bit of the blue in there, which is the opposite on the color wheel. And then you're going to get a really nice gray. They're pretty balanced. They're the two opposite colors, so you get almost like a true gray. And then you can, if you want, you can go in and tint that gray, and you get you like this gray, go in and tint it and you get a nice neutral gray that is very high value. In other words, very light. Okay, so anyway, Justice was asking about maybe pulling some of these colors out with white so you can see their character. And I also wanted to talk about temperature, if a color is warm or cool. So here around the reds and the yellows, you're going to have warm colors, pinks, reds, yellows. And then here you're going to have cool colors, greens, blues. And then the purple is like, purple is neither cold nor warm. It just depends. If there's more red in it, it becomes a warm, like a violet color. And then if there's more blue in it, it becomes more of a cooler color. So that is what an artist really keeps track of too. Warmer colors tend to advance. Cooler colors tend to recede. So on your painting, you always want to have, you can use that. You wouldn't want to have like all warm colors on one side and all cool colors, but you can actually push-pull like that. Abstract painters use that a lot. But anyway, so we can take and get a whole bunch of tertiary colors here just by pulling these things, seeing what happens. This is like the fun part. Like that. Now see, I wouldn't want to drag this over here because as you've seen before, I was going to get a gray. I'm going to get grays. But hey, sometimes you need grays. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to have grays, so I guess I will do that just to show you how. You can kind of see how the yellows and the reds advance and the blues and the greens recede.
I really enjoyed shooting that video with Wayne. All right, let's look at some of the different things that Wayne did with the pigments, with the oil paints, and we're going to do some of that here. So we're going to make a color wheel. We're going to put the colors in the same spots, and we're going to blend it and add some white, and we're going to see if this looks the same as it did with oil paints. We're going to do yellow here at the top, our red to the left, and let's choose that phthalo blue again. And we're going to put it here to the right. And let's do some of that mixing that we were doing before. All right. So a sample here, a little bit of red. Let's pull the two together. We should see some nice orange colors. And let's put some white here right in the middle so we can start playing around with this right away. All right, let's put some white up here. Let's drag through it. We can see some nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab some blue right here and some of this cadmium yellow. Let's blend them together. And get some very nice greens. Let's add a little more yellow. And let's take a little bit of blue. We can see these nice transitions through the colors. Let's pull this up. And let's switch just to a blending brush. Let's pull these together. See if we can get some nice purples. And let's use some white. Bring it to the middle. We should be getting some pinks. And we see some nice pinks here. And our pastel colors. Let's add a little bit more white here. And this is looking beautiful. All right, I am very happy with how this looks. This is a beautiful color wheel and the colors are mixing wonderfully. If you have questions or comments, please put it in the comment section. This is a world's first. It's something I am so excited about and very happy that Rebelle has been able to bring to you with Rebelle 5 Pro. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Now we put the blue here.
Like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about.